Trump has gone all out this time, kicking off global tariffs on April 5th, slapping a 10% duty on all imported goods, with Chinese products soaring to 54%, thinking he could intimidate the world with this move. Too bad for him. China barely blinked. The buzz around it couldn't even outshine the chatter about Isho Speed's visit to China, and regular folks couldn't care less about politics. Supermarkets hummed along as usual, prices steady as a rock, supplies overflowing, not a whiff of panic in sight. Business owners grumbled a bit in private, but the tax hit everyone. Vietnam at 46%, Thailand at 36%, India at 20%. Even allies like Japan and Korea took a hit. So the playing field stayed level, and they just shrugged it off. Now look at America, where supermarkets turned into a madhouse. The tariffs kicked in on April 5th, and ABC News reported consumers scrambling to stock up. The New York Times chimed in about emptied shelves. Reuters added that retailers' purchase limits couldn't stop the frenzy. BBC Chinese joined the fray, painting a picture of Americans fretting over rising essentials, grabbing whatever they could. One guy snagged a 40-inch Hisense TV, grinning like he'd struck gold. But that's a relic in China. Low-end stuff nobody buys. While 75-inch sets go for 3,000 renminbi, just over $400. Americans hoarded toilet paper and canned goods too. A sorry sight showing their resilience ain't much. Estimates peg the tariffs adding thousands to each household's yearly costs. A disaster for those living paycheck to paycheck. In China, savings rates are high. Over 40% for urbanites in 2023. Even more in rural areas. And businesses, seasoned by years of U.S. pressure, have spread their risks, making this tariff hike a mere drizzle. Dig into the economic basics, and it gets clearer. Foreign trade's no longer the star in China's GDP. Exports at 19.7% in 2024. Total trade around 37%, way down from 60% 2 decades ago, with reliance on the U.S. dipping below 8%. State subsidies keep pouring in. Domestic demand's booming. Retail sales jumped over 5% in 2024. Results you can see. America's trade is just 24% of GDP, but it leans hard on imports, racking up a $1 trillion deficit in 2023, tops globally. U.S. media loves bragging about being the world's biggest market, a joke propped up by sky-high prices. In raw sales, China's 30 million cars last year dwarf America's numbers. Same with phones and PCs, leaving the U.S. in the dust. Labor's costly there. Everything's pricey. While in China, heaps of economic activity flies under the tax radar, making its real market bigger and nimbler than America's. Trump thinks he can choke China, not realizing that neck's forged of steel. A few months into his term, Trump's turned America into a global punchline. The April 5th tariff drop sparked supermarket chaos, but the egg shortage takes the cake. Bird flu in late 2024 jacked up prices. Tariffs piled on import costs. And even store limits didn't stop folks from grabbing 20 cartons at a time. Yolks smashing everywhere. This in peacetime. A superpower short on eggs. Governance at its finest. Energy's a mess too. Gas leaping from $35 a gallon early this year to $42 by April 6th. Inflation squeezing the life out of people. Why? Aging refineries. Heavy imported crude reliance. Tariff costs dumped straight onto consumers. Drivers howling in pain. Worse, the top 1% hold 40% of U.S. wealth. The top 10% snag 70%, leaving regular folks with crumbs. Trump's tax cuts slashed corporate rates from 21% to 15%, handed high earners a fat break, and plugged the budget gap with tariffs, raking in $2,500 billion extra, all on the backs of the little guy. Millionaires shrug at a few bucks more for gas, but paycheck-to-paycheck types scramble for eggs. Economists reckoning each home's out $1,900. Inflation up 19%. The bottom half barely scraping by. Then there's Trump's international flops. His Ukraine boasts falling flat. Putin gearing up for a summer push while America's tangled in its own mess. No bandwidth for Europe. Allies got the raw end of the deal. Canada at 25%, Mexico at 25%, EU at 20%, Japan at 24%, Korea at 25%, each stabbed in the back by Trump. For years they tagged along, sanctioning and tariffing China at America's call, only to face China's retaliation. Rare earth curbs, slashed farm imports, Canada's timber exports down 30%, wheat piling up, European carmakers losing half their China market share. All that sacrifice for what? Zilch. Then Trump slaps tariffs on them too. A total washout. Canada's PM griped openly. 25% on lumber and energy piling misery on their economy. EU leaders scrambled. Germany's auto industry, reliant on China, choking on a 20% hit. Japan and Korea fared no better. Electronics costs soaring. Profits eaten by tariffs. Next time Trump yells to isolate China, who's going to listen? Allies have their own scorecards now. Burned too bad to play along again. His greed knows no bounds, hitting not just China but allies too, scattering the focus on China to bits. Rallying the gang against China later? Fat chance. She's got zero interest in talks. Trump's plans crashing with a hollow thud. America's the lone wolf now. No wins, just concessions ahead. This tariff drama's played out. Winner's obvious. Trump want to keep going? Fine. Flounder on. The last laugh's not his.